There is a high divorce rate after the kids all leave the house.
2 and 22, I think they say. 2 years after marriage and 22 years after marriage, right?
So once your kids leave and you look at each other and like, now what?
Welcome to Marriage Monthly. We're Gabe and Melissa Kolstad, and we want to help you build a healthy, lifelong marriage. We get together every single month with a podcast designed to just give you practical tips to help you grow in your marriage, and we can't wait to spend some time with you.
Welcome to Marriage Monthly.
Hello.
It's March. March
2025.
Yep. March Marriage Monthly. Oh, I have to let you guys know what we did last weekend. So we hosted a marriage retreat in Lincoln City, Oregon. So it was super fun, but super stormy. Holy cow, it was stormy.
Wow, no kidding.
It was so crazy. But it was beautiful. And we always go to the Chinook Winds Hotel, not the casino. And it was really good. We had a really good time. And we did the teaching times on this book here, Your Best Us by Ted Lowe. And it was really good. It's a simple read. Look, it's small. It's made for me. I love
really
small
nice
books.
size of a book.
Yeah, I love this size. But there was such great stuff in it, and I just thought it was really fun. So we decided we'd just do a little recap.
Yeah,
takeaways.
Yeah, what you can take. And it was awesome. It was really fun. This is a great book to use.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun having other couples help us present, which they did a great job with.
Yeah.
And it was really cool just seeing how much connection can happen in such a short time with people when you're really just focused on the topic of marriage and in a supportive environment. And so we hope that everybody watching and listening today will feel the same thing of just some inspiring things coming your way that that will help us to have the best marriages possible.
Well, also in this book, they talked about 4 habits to your best us. So how to have a great marriage, basically. And Gabe and I always talk about having a healthy, thriving marriage. And so that's kind of our passion. And so this is kind of, Ted Lowe's talking about these 4 habits. And so I'm going to kick it off with the first habit, and it's called have serious fun. I know you're shocked that I would
of
love
all the people to be talking about this.
So much, but I love to have serious fun. I love planning something. I texted my niece today because my niece's husband is getting ready to become an American citizen. And I'm so excited. And I said, so we're doing a party, right? And you're hosting it, right? So yeah, I always like to have some serious fun. But we're talking about serious fun with your spouse, because a lot of times we will have serious fun with everybody else, but not our spouse.
How true and how sad, right?
Because we give leftovers to our spouse a lot of time. I'm so exhausted this day, this week, this month, this year's, this whatever. And so serious fun gets squished out a lot. So anyways, in the book, he talks about these 5 fun barriers. And I could resonate with every single one of them in certain times of my life, but it's crazy. The first one, though, I'll just mention them real quick, is busyness. I have to do this. I have to go here. I have this responsibility. I have this. And you're so busy with your work and your life, your kids, your husband, whatever it is. But a lot of times, because you're so busy, having fun with your spouse and connecting with him or her gets squished out.
Yeah. Or it just feels like another task that you've added to your list.
I do not have time for that.
Yeah.
I am too busy to go out and have fun, entertain my husband or whatever. Mostly that's probably you to me, because I'm exhausting. I know that. But anyways, all right. Number 2 is seriousness. Now this one is pretty funny to me, because I do know some people that are super serious. We are not those people. But super serious, like, I have responsibilities. I'm responsible for this, and I'm responsible for this, and I do not have time to have fun because I am a serious person getting serious stuff done. And I'm like, okay, well, have fun with that, because my experiences, because I've been on the bedside of people dying plenty of times, and all they want is more memories and more time.
Yeah.
It's all they want. And you have that. You're still living and breathing. You're not on your deathbed. And so it's crazy to me, because I think that gets squeezed out. I am just too serious and I'm too busy and I just don't have time to have fun. It's like, no, you better make time to have fun. Anyways, the third thing is children. I know. They're exhausting. I mean, we raised 3 of them. So kids are a lot, and they take a lot of your time and energy and effort, and then your spouse gets squeezed out. And so children are such a blessing, and I loved every second raising my kids. We were just talking about this yesterday. We were like, I loved every second raising our kids. Had so much fun with them. They are such a blessing to us.
And I miss it a lot.
I miss those days.
You can look back and see, remember those things. And it was like, man, those times were fantastic.
I know. Beautiful memories. Like, so much fun. But at the same time, I think, guess what? We're empty nesters. They're gone.
Yeah.
And there is a high divorce rate after the kids all leave the house.
2 and 22, I think they say. 2 years after marriage and 22 years after marriage, right?
So once your kids leave and you look at each other and like, now what? Like, you know, what am I supposed to do with you?
Right.
So so it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you got to nurture this first. Like the kids know they knew when they were being raised, I'm the queen, he's the king, we are first. You know, something we did when we were raising the kids was, obviously, you guys know if you've listened to this for any amount of time, that we love trips away. It's like just refuels us. Stepping out of our regular life to make memories and adventures together and explore is everything. But when we were raising kids, every other year we did a trip with the kids, and every other year, opposite of that, we did a couples trip. And I think it's important to like spend time one-on-one when you're raising kids. Spend time. Our kids knew we had date nights and we went on trips together, and that we were a priority. This was a priority.
I was just talking to a grandmother in our church who watched her grandson while the couple went away to the retreat that we just did.
Nice.
And they just appreciated it so much. And she said, you know, obviously it can be hard for the child or the parents to have that time away, but so important. And I'm so glad that they did.
And even if it's hard on your child, they'll get used to it. They need to know that it's important. I remember when the first several times we would leave Caleb, our youngest, he would carry a picture of us and he'd sleep with it, and it was all wrinkled.
No, I think he still sleeps with it.
Oh, does he still sleep with it?
Yeah.
Oh, I bet Maria loves that.
I'm sure his wife loves it. Yeah.
But anyways, it's one of those things where it's like, but you know what? As much as I felt bad saying, you know, we're off again, you know, we're going to go spend some time together and build our relationship, that kind of thing. You know, it was hard for him, but he got used to it. And you know what? I think as he got older, he realized that that's important. And now he's looking at doing that with his wife. So I think it's important to nurture this, even with kids at home. And let me just say something. Don't take your kids on a date and call it a date. That irritates me. That is so annoying. Like, oh, we have a 6-month-old, but we've been dating every week with our 6-month-old. I said, that's not a date. Your date, you need to drop your 6-month-old off with somebody else. But anyways,
somebody you trust.
Yeah, of course. Exhaustion. I mean, I get it. You're tired, you're exhausted. Life can be tiring and you're pushing hard, you're grinding hard, you're doing your thing. I get it. I mean, I mentioned at the retreat that I was potty training and nursing at the same time. And I was exhausted. Yeah. I hardly had any energy to hang with my husband at the end of the night, much less be intimate or anything like that, because I've been like hung on all day long.
Right.
But you know what? That you got to make time for it. Don't give your spouse your leftovers. You got to make time for it. And then the last one is uncertainty. And this is for the people that are like, I don't know how to plan a date. I don't know what I would do. I don't know where we'd go. I don't know. I'm uncertain. I'll probably fail, probably blow it, probably not going to be cool. No, just go for it. Your spouse will appreciate the effort.
Yeah, true.
Right? So anyways, those are the 5 fun barriers.
And I mean, I think what was interesting to me about this concept from the book, and then as we unfolded it, was just the realization that you look at like what's going to build a great marriage, and I think we all think it's really complicated.
No.
But when the first thing that we talk about is have serious fun, it makes you go, oh, that's not that complicated. That's, you know, if you think about any relationship outside of marriage, you'd probably be like, well, duh. But with marriage, for some reason, the stakes are higher, so we make it more complicated. So we talked about, okay, that's important. Now, how do you get fun done? We talked about, let's put it on the calendar. That's really the way to do it.
Oh my gosh, that's exactly how you do it. Because otherwise it will get squeezed out with these 5 fun barriers. It will.
Just like, I mean,
you have to do
same with the career, same with anything that matters. If we're going to prioritize it, it has to be on our calendar.
Yeah.
And so we talked about 3 ways to do that. One was daily dialogue, just carving out time, whether it be at the dinner table, if you don't have kids, and that's going to be your couples time talk. If if it's in the morning, maybe you both get up at the same time and get ready for work, and you could have some daily dialogue that inserts a little bit of fun, a little bit of lighthearted. Yeah, a little coffee date. We did hear from couples that are doing these coffee dates after work, where they're just getting together, talking about how did work go, and stuff like that. But I think it's just important to go, where is our connection time? Where is our fun time?
Daily.
Where's our talk time? Every day.
Every day.
And so for us now as empty nesters, a lot of times our dinner time is our reconnect time.
Yeah.
And it is much easier, but it still needs to be something. We still, like yesterday, we almost forgot to read our little devotional. And so we had to it was sitting there on the coffee table, and we just had to go, oh, we got to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just that little discipline that comes in.
Yep.
Then we talked about date nights, how important that is. And
how we feel.
Man. I mean, yeah. Anyone who's been listening to this podcast has been like, oh, you're talking about it again. But it's so important because, it's the frequency of your connection time that is really the strength of your marriage. And so if your date night if you've got young kids, you're like, well, we can barely squeeze in one a month. That's fine because we were there.
Yep.
But if you can consistently do that, then you end up being in a place of looking forward to it. You're looking forward to it because you're like, oh man, I know it's such a busy week, but next Thursday or next Friday or whatever it is.
Save some energy up for that.
Yeah, and then you can kind of let that pull you forward a little bit.
Exactly.
So date nights, and we talked about how you can get creative with that. You don't have to have a lot of money. I like if it's up to me, and here's because Melissa's a great date planner and so a bazillion ideas running through her mind and so creative and always researching stuff. Me, if I'm planning something, I got to do the thing where you sit down and you write down every letter of the alphabet and you got to brainstorm the stuff.
Sounds exhausting.
I'm serious. And so I have to get really intentional about it because I'm not a great planner on that stuff. But there's a lot of things that come up if you do A, B, C, D, and all the way through. You're like, oh, I never thought about, B, bowling. That's something that you can do. I know you love bowling.
I like axe throwing too.
Axe throwing is
Axe throwing is
that's
super
right.
fun.
What's C?
I don't know. Cruising.
Cuisine.
Oh, nice.
Cuisine. Okay, so you can just come up with some fun ideas like that, but make sure that you've got some creativity flowing there. And then the third thing we talked about was sexy time.
Yeah.
Sexy time. Like making sure that this is on the calendar. Now, I know that sounds really weird. Like, Thursday, Tuesday, 7:30 p.m., whatever the time is. That's not necessarily what we're talking about, but that it happens, that it's because we know from research and experience, with ourselves and others that lack of intimacy creates distance. And, we recommended that if you aren't doing it once a week, you might want to watch out because Scripture does talk about how the devil can get a foothold.
Yeah,
and that's one. And this specific way is what's mentioned in Scripture about how the devil gets a foothold sometimes in your relationship because it creates that physical distance, which leads to all the other distance. And then and sometimes people say, well, I don't feel like it. We had an argument. I don't feel like it, or it's been too busy, or there's excuses for not having intimate time together too. But what we've found is that you sometimes have to act your way into feeling. Yeah. And so sometimes you're going like, I know I don't feel totally connected right now, but actually the act of intimacy can make you feel more connected and keep you more connected. So those were important things about getting fun done.
And a back rub.
And of course, all the stuff that leads up, obviously, that's part of intimacy.
Right.
And for you, it would be a foot rub.
And again, I'll just say, and I've said this before, women are like crock pots.
Yeah.
And men are like microwaves, generally, not all the time. But a lot of times a woman needs, prepping throughout the day.
Sure.
And you guys can spring into action quicker.
Guy needs at least 15 to 20 seconds of prep time.
Exactly.
Okay, but one thing I wanted to read is Proverbs 5. It says, may you always be captivated by her love. And I just love that phrase, captivated by her love or his love. That, to look at your relationship as a thing you could be preoccupied with. Yeah. That I'm preoccupied with you because we have fun. And that's awesome. And it draws me into our relationship. And I think we're both responsible to insert that into our relationship and find ways to let those things pull us together.
Yeah, it sure beats walking into your home, walking on eggshells. Like
Doesn't
some
it?
couples that are just like,
don't
even want to go home.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, so plan some fun. The second session was called Love God First, and Max and Freda head up this one. And it was really good because
so good.
They shared their story. And when they first met, they dated for 3 years, and they just got in a lot of fights. They were just arguing. They were trying to do this on their own power, the whole thing. And so they split up after 3 years. Well, then Max comes to know the Lord, and then eventually Freda came to the Lord, and then they decided, let's try this again. And they celebrated their 27th wedding anniversary on Friday.
Yeah, while we were at the retreat.
While they were teaching. Yeah. It was pretty rad. So, a lot of times, I'm just saying, it can be hard. You can have a difficult startup, and you can make it great with God's help. Putting him first in his rightful spot is exactly where he needs to be. So Mark 12:30 says, this is a great commandment, which is so good. You must love Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second is equally important. I think that's really important. Love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than these. When we love our spouse through the lens of God, we love much better than on our own. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's important to remember, maybe you're not even a Christian listening to this. I'm going to say, come to know the Lord. Come to know Jesus. Yeah. Because he can make everything fresh and new. And he makes it way better than we ever dreamt of, because there's a priority that happens when we put him first, and he honors that with a great, healthy, strong relationship. And so I think it's really, really important to put God first in everything, because that puts, once he's in his rightful place, like this, he's here and we're here, everything works better. Mm-hmm. And so I think like the triangle thing, if you're listening, sorry, I'm looking at a camera right now. But anyways, yeah, so it's just important to have him in his spot and then us in our spot, because, you know, he will direct us and guide us when we listen to his spirit and his direction and what he does. Having him first makes all the difference in this relationship to me. So
yeah.
I
loved the quotes that they shared, and these were
they did
some of these were like quotes from the book. Some of them were like things they came up with that, or just as they're describing their story. And Freda said something. I think she got the concept from the book, but she said basically, she was talking about her and Max, like, we were living as a community of two, expecting everything from the other person without a village. And I thought, man, that's deep and so good, because so often in relationships, particularly romantic relationships, we put so much pressure on the other person to, you know, Jerry Maguire us. Yeah, you complete me. Yeah. And like, it does not work. That's one of the biggest lies of relationships that there ever was, is that the other person is somehow going to complete you.
Yeah, no.
I mean, in some ways that's true. Mm-hmm. But the filling part of your life, like if it's not coming from God and you're expecting an imperfect human being to be perfectly fulfilling in your life, it's just too much pressure, you know?
Yeah.
And like, especially when it comes to joy, to give you joy, right? Or to make you happy, or those things
meet all of your needs and all your expectations.
Too much, yeah.
So
it's
much.
Why I think the best metaphor for marriage is this: I'm being filled by God's love, and then I have some left over to give away. And in my marriage is the first place that I give that love. Exactly. And I think that if we can get to that, which is the put God first thing, you know, God is love, right? So if we put him first, we're going to have love from him. That's the right kind of love.
That's a good quote.
And then another one was, we think the answers to our marriage lies solely within our marriage, which is so interesting. And so I could see how sometimes we beat these things to death inside of a marriage, trying to think what is wrong, when actually what might be wrong is that we're not looking up and, you know, putting God first and having that relationship with God that completes the whole circle, really. And so sometimes the marriage isn't the answer. It's God. Yep. Another one was, connection with God makes us better spouses. Loved that, because God is the ultimate connection. And so we learn in our relationship with God how to be married, which I think is so important. And I loved what they were sharing. It was cool too, because they were so like transparent. About their journey and how God brought them through some of the hardest times. But their growth points were really when they realized what was missing was them releasing some of that expectation that they had on each other to the Lord. The last one I loved was, the more I trust him and love him. I think Max said this: the more I trust him and love him, the more loving I become. Yeah. And that, again, it was just such a good story and journey to follow. And it was so inspiring to hear people that were so transparent, but now so solid in their relationship and in a place of impacting a lot of people.
Oh my gosh, so much. It was so good. Yeah, Freda said something about, because this was her second marriage, and she said something about it was easier for her to let go.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? Because she was like, I already did it. So,
yeah, because she was saying that when they were in a hard situation and she thought about divorce as an option.
Yeah, she's like, I already did it.
Yeah, because she'd already done it, so she's like, maybe it wasn't as big of a deal.
And I'm so glad she didn't follow through.
Oh, me too.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, the third session was called Respect and Love, and Matt and Nancy Castile did this one, and it was really good. It got really serious.
Yeah, it did.
That was like, dang, man, that just got
so
super good. Yeah. But I loved this. Matt was talking about this. He said, when we start approaching a conflict, we start telling ourselves things that begin to feed our response. Okay, let me say that again. When we start approaching a conflict, we start telling ourselves the things that begin to feed our response. So, does he even know who he's talking to right now? Like, does he understand the day I've had today? Does he know this? Does he know that? I'm this, I'm that, you know, like, people like me. Like, people look up to me. Like, I'm loved and respected. How dare he, you know, belittle me like this, or look at me like that, or, you know, whatever. So we get defensive and offended before word even comes out of our mouths.
Yeah.
Because of one thing. And we are rehearsing in our minds what we want to say, but also how rude and how justified we are because we're like so irritated that they even hinted at whatever it is. And we just think, I'm a great person, like, I don't understand. Like, why is he down on me right now?
I told him on Sunday when I saw him afterwards, I was like, I was puzzled when he started out the session that way, but just saying those words, does she even know who she's talking to? I was like, I was puzzled for about 10 to 15 seconds because I was like, in my mind, I was like, I recognize those thoughts from inside my own head, and it was just a funny thing that he opened up with that. But I think all humans have that sense of, I guess it's, being, like you said, kind of surprised that someone would talk to us that way, or somehow disagree with me, or
how
whatever.
could that?
Yeah.
Well, he talks in the book about this 4 horsemen thing, which I think is so interesting, and so I'm gonna say these 4 horsemen, and you're going to probably connect with all 4 of them as I do. First one is criticism, verbally attacking a personality or a character. And we do this to our spouses all the time. So verbally attacking a personality or character. So we're criticizing. Second horseman is contempt. This one's brutal. Contempt is on the abuse scale to me. Like it's it's attacking a sense of self with the intent to hurt, basically, insult, abuse somebody. The next one is defensiveness, victimizing yourself to ward off a perceived attack and reverse the blame. Love that. I'm pretty good at that one, actually.
I think I am too.
I'm great at that. But so you defense it. You get defensive because, who does he think he's talking to right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, got to defend myself. And the last one's stonewalling. And so this is funny because we were talking a little bit about people that process inwardly and people that process outwardly. Yeah. And stonewalling is not something I particularly do, but let me explain. It's withdrawing to avoid conflict and convey disapproval and distance and separation. So you're kind of like, hands up, nope, not happening. So you stonewall somebody. And so a lot of times I think that people that process internally can tend to look like they're stonewalling.
I thought that was such an interesting observation, and I'd never heard it really before.
Well, because they need to process.
Yeah.
They need to process something before they start talking about it. And someone like me, that's more of a critic or defensive, I want to just go for it. I'm going to go for the jugular. I'm in there. Let's do this. I'm confrontational by nature. It's just how I am. And I'm like, let's go there. But stonewalling, I can't stand it when someone stonewalls me.
Well, and they said several times, this is the most destructive one in a relationship is stonewalling, when you just refuse to engage.
Yep.
But I really appreciated the idea that with the right tools and language, you could let it be known that what you're doing isn't stonewalling, but you just need a minute to process.
Give me a second. Yeah, just give me a second.
I thought that
was
fantastic.
super good because that is a tricky thing. So those 4 horsemen, we do them all the time in marriage. And hopefully, as you're learning and growing to be a better spouse with God's help, you're learning to respect and love better and better. And you're not doing these as much. We don't really argue hardly at all. And so this doesn't come into play a lot these days.
But I've had plenty of experience with all of them.
Oh, so, yeah. With all of them.
Yeah.
But it's good that as we've grown stronger and, tighter together, that we're not screaming and yelling at each other ever. Like that'd be foreign in our home.
Yeah. And you would hope that the longer you're married, the more you can get on the same page. I know it's not always true with everybody, but I think it's possible.
And with that being said, I said something about screaming and yelling. That should never be an option in your house, ever. Because then your house just becomes an unsafe place.
Yeah, like a war zone.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah.
So don't do the 4 horsemen.
Yeah. By the way, as we deliver this to you, we are sitting in brand new podcast chairs, which are
They're
comfortable.
So nice.
If you're listening, you don't see these awesome chairs,
but
man, they are so much better. So I just feel like we're doing a better job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Something that I loved was they talked about the crazy cycle, which really is, we've been kind of hinting at it, but it really goes like this. It goes like, my lie, the lie I believe, because you said when we start approaching a conflict, we start telling ourselves things that begin to feed our response, and that's a lie, right?
Yeah.
So I have a lie, and it might be that you're wrong, or it could be any lie that I believe, but it informs my response.
Yeah.
And it could be she doesn't know how great I am. It could be lots of stuff, but then that leads to my negative response, and then that negative response interacts with your lie, which then impacts your negative response. And so they were talking about this big crazy cycle, and how, like with the crazy cycle in the book Love and Respect, that somebody's got to interrupt it.
Yeah.
And I think that it's helpful when we can see if we can see the thing. And so they helped us walk through they said a recent or recurring argument, which I thought was so good.
Right.
And I realized something that I do regularly to you was that
you can share it.
downplay.
Yeah.
I downplay what you're saying so that was my negative response. But the lie was that I'm helpless. I don't know how to be helpful in the situation that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And so
like if I'm offended by someone or something, you kind of almost take their side.
Yeah. Because I want to see the best in people and I'm trying to build them up and all this stuff, but I'm not acknowledging your hurt or your confusion or whatever it is. So I'm like downplaying it because I'm like, I don't know how to help you, And that was a really I'd never thought about that before.
What did that come from? The cycle.
That's Love and Respect by Emerson Eggerichs.
Oh, I thought it was a different book.
Yeah, that was that one.
Oh, okay. So you guys should read Love and Respect because the cycle is really interesting to think about. Yeah.
So anyhow, that was something cool.
I don't know if that was cool. That was hard to look through.
Yeah, it's super helpful. And they even give us a refrigerator magnet, you guys.
I know, we should have brought it.
We should have brought it.
Showed it. It's
awesome.
So good. But it's in the book, the Love and Respect book, I believe. But anyways, okay, and the last session was Practice Your Promise. And this was great because we ended with a marriage renewal ceremony, which was so sweet. We exchanged rings and we had a first dance and Bart and Bettina did Can't Help Falling in Love. And it was a really special time. But we were talking about the importance of promises. I mean, we're talking about these 4 things that they're habits that are going to make you your best, right? So you're going to have some fun. You're going to put God first, and you're going to learn to love and respect each other really well. And then you're going to practice a promise. And that means you don't break your promises. Like, that's the main thing. You just don't break your promises. For Gabe and I, and we've mentioned this before, we never say the D word, divorce.
For sure.
We never, ever threaten that. No escape hatch. This is it. I tell them all the time, you and me forever. Like, no matter what. Everything can go to crap. Everything around us. Everything. But this is forever. And so I think when you have, and I've known people that have had secret bank accounts and secret Facebook accounts and all these little secret things that their spouse doesn't know about, that is dangerous. Don't do that. That to me is breaking a promise. Talking to a woman or a man on the phone, having secret meetings that your spouse don't know about. If you're hiding something from your spouse, to me, you're breaking a promise. And so and I know I'm really strong on that.
Yeah, but I think, where does it lead? It leads to secrets beget secrets. And, that's the problem with secrets is you got to keep covering it up.
Yeah.
And so it gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah. And then there's disloyalty. And then there's an affair or whatever else could happen after that. And so don't break your promises. Have no escape hatch. Eliminate the D word. Remember the vows you made when you were standing in front of each other, staring at each other, saying, I will love you through thick and thin. I mean, better or worse, sick or poor, or rich or poor, sick or not sick, all this stuff. And there's all these things that we made this promise for. And then down the road, we're like, oh, I don't really want to do that anymore. I'm all done. Irreconcilable differences, sign off. I mean, not cool. Okay, there was a stat that University of Chicago did, and I thought it was so fascinating. It was 64% of people that said they were unhappy in their marriage were happier 5 years later. And Gabe mentioned this a few weeks ago in a church service, but that to me is fascinating because think about that. If Max and Freda would have quit at that year 3 back when they didn't know the Lord, we wouldn't have what we have today, which they have a thriving ministry, Hispanic ministry. They have a strong relationship, a strong family. They are a power couple 27 years later.
Yeah.
If they would have given up, they would not have had all this beauty that they've had for the last 27 years. And it's not always been easy. I'm not saying that. But they kept their promise. No matter what, they kept their promise. And I think I'm so thankful that I know Max and Freda and that they didn't give up on that.
They're awesome.
So don't break your promises.
Yeah. Instead, we talked about practice your promise. And I think it's like anything. Practice, is what we need to get better. And so we practice. I said in the retreat, practice makes permanent.
Yeah.
And it does, And so if you think about practicing your promise means you're gonna reinforce that promise, and you're gonna reinforce it in ways that are super tangible. We talked about a few tips on this. One was cut out negative communication. That this is one way to practice promise is stop saying negative things, especially toward your spouse. If you're calling names, stop. You just stop. If you're pointing out flaws, stop. You just don't have to do that. There's literally no value in it. And so it's cut out negative communication. The Bible says, let everything you say be good and helpful.
Yeah,
and
Ephesians 4:29. One of my absolute favorite verses.
What a high calling, right? I mean, like a big ask. Let everything you say be good and helpful.
Yeah.
And I think the more we can get close to that, the better.
Yeah, I was talking to a girlfriend that her daughter is really struggling in their new marriage. They just got married last summer.
Yeah.
And they're really struggling. And the husband wakes up every day and says, today's going to suck.
Oh, wow.
He's just starting out the whole day so negative, and it never goes up from there because he's starting out that way, and it will never go up from there. So, don't do that.
So, in every possible way, take whatever negative is about to come out of your mouth, stop, replace it with something positive, anything positive.
Or just shut up.
Or just don't say anything.
Yes.
Second one is focus on shared goals, visions, and passions. The idea would be we can do things together, and that's one way to practice our promises. If we said we're going to be together forever, then let's actually spend some of our energy together. And bringing in shared goals, visions, passions, those things get you focused forward, future focused, and now your energy is coming together in a stream that pulls you together. So if it's about a bathroom remodel, or if it's about adopting a child, or if it's about anything that you
starting a nonprofit someday,
anything
or
that's on your mind or heart, it's going to pull you together. A third one was serve together. We started out serving together in marriage.
Yeah, we did.
And I mean, literally the weekend after our honeymoon, we were together serving in a church, and
we never stopped.
We never stopped.
30 years of summer.
We've just grown to love it because it's always been this fun dance that we do back and forth with what's your part, what's my part, and it requires us to talk it out and work it out. And
we grow so much together as we serve together. And there's so many couples that were at the retreat this weekend that are leading growth groups together.
Yeah.
And I was just looking around the room, and I'm like, oh, they're leading a group, and they're leading a group, and they're leading a group. And let me tell you, because we've led hundreds of groups together.
Yeah, lots.
But I'm just saying, like, you grow way more than the people in your group when you're doing that, when you're doing it together. It's just something about serving together. It just makes you stronger and healthier. I love that.
Something that I thought was so interesting was that you asked, I think, what's something you like about serving with your spouse? And so many people said, I get to watch them shine.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was really cool. Yeah, so serving together is a great thing. And the last one was always be looking forward to something awesome.
Always.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just always be looking forward to. So if you don't have something awesome that you're looking forward to together as a couple right now, just figure something out, anything that feels awesome to both of you, and go, great, there's a goal, and it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be awesome.
Yeah.
Which could be anything. Having a clean house is awesome.
Yeah. I kind of looked at it as more short term. Like we were looking at the other one as like shared goals and values and passions. I was looking at that a little bit more long term. Like we want to have our 100th anniversary in Rome, Italy.
Yes, we do.
Like so because I'm putting these stamps on way out in the future, I'm not going anywhere because we got stuff like way out in the future. And then I was always looking forward to something awesome, something a little bit closer.
Yeah.
Like a date night or a trip or something.
Yesterday was Monday for us, was our cheat day.
Yeah.
Right. So we looked forward to that because we got to start the day out at my favorite muffin with the blueberry cheesecake muffin. That was awesome.
It made my day.
Anyways.
Yes.
This was a great retreat.
Yeah, it was a great retreat.
And these habits, I think my takeaway is, if it's a habit, that means you can build it. If you can build it, that means you can do it. It means anybody can do it. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. There's hope for everyone. Yep. You can just get these habits down. Buy this book. It's called Your Best Us by Ted Lowe. And it's a great one.
Thank you for joining us today. Remember to share and subscribe and join us every single month. This is your counseling session.